Hey guys, Mobile Gamers Unite. So, I've been chilling in my movie theater today and I've been trying to get a lot of content done. I want to get a video out that's really important. First of all, we're going to talk about the potential collaboration banner that's to be announced next week with Estelle and Joshua on it. Okay, we don't know if we're going to get this yet, but it's important to know that it is a possibility. And it plays right into the next topic that we're going to tackle, and that is the Yeless Legend faction team. Let's see. Obviously, our fusion buffer for this team is Mr. Landius himself. And let's just look at these characters real quick, because I know there's some people right now that are just on the fence about the Yeless Legends. The banner's still up for 2 days, and a lot of people are trying to decide if they want to go in, if they want to maybe try to last-ditch effort snag some of these characters up. Okay? And a lot of it too is I don't want to mislead people down the wrong road. Okay? I had to pull on this banner because I already had Landius and I had Rachel. I had to pull Lanford. I already had Lanford. I had to pull Landius to make the fusion team. Okay, that's because this account is, other than this, it's a mixed bag of characters, and I needed a fusion team. If you're not in that position, there's plenty of other fusion teams to go with. Okay, who's clearing a ton of content right now? What's his name? Nitro. If you go watch his videos, you know, he's still running like Empire and Princess, and he's concentrating on those factions and powering up those characters. In fact, the last video I watched, I think he said he was working on his Luna to get her up to like power level 5,000 or whatever to clear trials. If you're trying to clear content and you already have some sort of faction team set up, you're probably going to be working on them. Okay, this is somewhat of like an MVP team. Okay, because if you look at this faction group, they're all SSRs, which is kind of rare. I don't know if this is the only faction that has all SSRs, but it makes it harder to field this team because you have to have all SSRs. It's not like there's an SR character that can benefit from this buff too that you can throw in there. It's just not there. So every single one of these characters is a rainbow that has to come down. Okay? And on top of that, guys, remember, we might get news of a collaboration event that's limited coming our way pretty soon. So you might want to save your resources for that, okay? Here's my whole thing on limited characters in this game. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to work. I don't know if they're just going to be super OP. Because here's the thing. In a game like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, people can get whatever content they want. It doesn't matter at the end of the day because you're not going head-to-head against other people. So it doesn't really affect things. But if they do come out with limited units for this game, it could potentially screw a lot of things up. A lot of people are going to say, well, I don't want to play PvP now because other people have these limited characters that are so OP that I can't even get if I wanted to. So that could affect things. But then again, I have to hold out on judgment until I actually see what these limited characters are, what they can do, how strong are they, and here's something important too. What faction group do they fall into? You know, is it going to be like some new limited faction? Is it a faction I already have? Do they just go into any faction? Who knows? I really don't know. This is the first I've even heard of anything limited for this game. And I have to give a shout out to my buddy Halon for giving me the info about, you know, this collaboration and all this stuff coming up, because I've been busy trying to pretty much get some content down while this banner is still up. Like I said, there's going to be people on the fence about this. So really, let's get into it, okay? You have Landius here, who is the fusion buffer for this faction. You know what? If you have Landius, then yeah, maybe you might consider, like, if you have Landius and maybe one or two of these other characters, like I do here, then by all means, yeah, go for this faction. It's awesome. The faction power increases your average damage. It's going to give you 15% more damage to anything that you're not strong against. And if you're strong against something, you're going to do double damage anyway, so you don't really give a shit. But that 15% goes a long way towards your average damage. So it's just an awesome fusion power to have. It's easy to control. And I think that's the allure of it, a lot of it. But in order to make this happen, you have to have Landius. And my personal experience was damn near almost impossible to pull him. But hey, if you're one of the lucky people and he came down right off rip and you have him, and especially if you have Rachel too, then yeah, go for it. These other princess characters and Lestelle, they will be on focus banners coming up in the future, which is what I plan on doing with this account as well. As soon as Lestelle pops up, whatever resources I have saved from just playing this game is going to go into trying to bag a Lestelle, because I think that's really the only way I could upgrade my party is by throwing Lestelle in there instead of Almeda. But Almeda is still amazing, okay? I've said it once, I'll say it again. She's just awesome, okay? But, and these Angelica and Cellophane, I call her Cellophane, I know her name's Shelfaline or whatever. They are awesome characters, okay? And especially with Rachel's Magic Break, and you got Cellophane with her AoE damage, blah, everything gets blown up. So it's a really good combo, okay? This team can crank out a substantial amount of damage. They can do AoE damage. It's a great team all around. And Rachel also has a built-in mechanic where her AoE does more damage to mages and healers. That's huge. And then on top of that, it throws that break on them. So this is a very solid, very strong faction team. It's like an MVP faction team. But that's the thing is, that's if you have the fusion buffer for this team. Okay, if you don't have him by now, I'm sorry to say, but you probably shouldn't go for him. Okay. On the other hand, I'm sure there's people out there that literally have Lestelle, they have Lanford, they might have both of the princesses. Okay, if that's the case, then yeah, good luck. I really hope you get Landius. Best of luck to you. We're not even going to talk about my experience because it took a lot for me to get him. All right. And to be fair, I will say this, on my main account, I didn't have a problem getting Landius. I almost overlooked him. I didn't really even realize he was the faction buffer for this team. Well, until it came down to my alt account where I actually needed a fusion team, and then I realized, oh crap, I gotta pull this guy. Because I had Rachel at that point already. And that's when I decided to chase this fusion team. It was a painful journey, but I got there, okay? So this account is born again free to play because there's no reason for me to spend anything on anything. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, save up resources, hopefully get Lestelle. But another reason why this faction group is so strong is because Lanford's right here. He is awesome. And the more I've played with Lanford, really, the more I like him. And personally, I think, and even if I catch some hate for this, I think Lanford is more fun to play than Leon. Okay, he can have chivalry just like Leon, but then he also has a mechanic where he can attack somebody with a ranged attack, and he can make his troops attack with a ranged attack, which works awesome for berserkers, and you can use that with chivalry. His javelin ability is absolutely amazing. Also, I find that Lanford doesn't, when he's using his javelin ability, he doesn't have to expose himself the way that Leon does. Leon uses chivalry, heals, and then he goes up and attacks somebody. Whoever he attacks, they're probably going to be able to retaliate against him, so Leon's going to take some damage, okay? With Lanford, that doesn't have to be the case. You can use chivalry to heal up, and then you can move a couple blocks up, and then you can attack somebody a couple blocks away from you, and if they don't have ranged capabilities to counterattack you, like if they're not a ranged unit, then they don't get to retaliate against you at all. Okay, I mean, you get a super high attack bonus, you get to move up, you get to attack somebody that's really far away. You could potentially reach somebody on the other side of the tabletop with Lanford, and then they don't even get to retaliate against you unless they're a ranged unit themselves. So to me, that's awesome, and I absolutely love playing with Lanford. I already made a couple videos on him. He's Leon's little brother as far as I'm concerned, and that's why that was a big deciding factor in this faction. When I saw that Lanford was actually part of this fusion team, I was like, oh wow, now I really got to look into this. And then when I saw what the fusion power did and everything, I decided, hey, this is the exact type of gameplay that I want for an alt account, because playing this faction team is different than playing any other faction team. They just have more mechanics. You got Landius, who's a tank on horseback and does all sorts of crazy tanking. He just has his own mechanic. It's weird and it's awesome at the same time. And I'm going to be doing videos on that in the future and really showcasing what he does. He has an awesome command aura, and a lot of people are already giving him props for PvP, and I get that. Same thing with Rachel. She has a bunch of awesome mechanics. She heals everybody around her. She does a shit ton of damage, and she does a shit ton of healing. And mine's at 6-star, and I can see how much, like, she's healing everybody for thousands. That's just so sweet, because they're getting a heal off of her doing a whole bunch of damage. And let's not forget that she has an amazing break mechanic, and it's a large AoE blast. I'm going to be doing some videos on her too, because I do have 2 different setups for Miss Rachel, who's stuck up my ass. There's the healing setup for her with the crystal rune set, and then there's the clock rune set for her. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of both. And honestly, guys, I'm almost tempted to go with crystal on this one, just because of how much healing I've seen her do. Now, if you're running a dedicated healer, that might not matter too much to you. But think about it this way: if you get into a fight where your troops are stationary and you know that they're going to be standing around a boss attacking it, you can pretty much take your healer out. If you know Rachel's going to be there doing damage every turn, everybody's going to be getting healed, which can allow you to bring another DPS unit if Rachel's there, instead of having to bring a healer. That can make the battle go much quicker. It can finish a fight much faster, and I mean, that can move things along a lot, and I think that's just awesome. So I'm all about running no healer teams if I can get away with it. I don't know, what can I say? I like it risky. So that's where this fusion group is, and playing them is different, and I do enjoy that. Okay, on the other side of the coin though, I will say my main account hasn't really made that much progress this week. I've really been busy grinding out everything for this account, for my alt account, and doing pulls on here. We're done with that. If I do pull out some cash or something, it's probably going to be to try to get one of these limited units if they drop them. And I will only be pulling for limited units on my main account. Like I said, this alt account, if there are limited units, cool. I have the fusion that I want for this team, and I'm gonna play with it. I mean, I'm gonna play this fusion till the fucking wheels fall off, alright? So I don't really care about getting anything else. Maybe a Lestelle in the future, or Cellophane, whatever her name is. She does so much magic damage. She's a Princess Fusion holder herself, but if you're running her with this faction, she would obviously be getting the fusion buff from Landius. And I like that, because then she can bring another skill that's some AoE that does a shit ton of damage. And she does a lot of damage to undead too, so that's really cool. But if you, and I've already seen this, if you can stack Rachel with Cellophane, there's just so much AoE damage that you're doing. It's ridiculous, especially with the break that Rachel's throwing. It just makes you do so much more magic damage to everybody. I'd also like to point out that those two are just awesome at killing goblins. So this is going to be a really easy team to clean the goblins out and to get as much gold as you can from those runs every day. You put clock runes on these girls and you just have them go in there and AoE one-shot each wave of goblins. Or you can just wait for the goblins to stack up and just one-shot them at the very end, throw all your AoEs. There's a lot of different things you can do. The point is, with this faction group, it is all possible. And, you know, you have Leon's little brother there, who is just like the Leon for this faction. So, like I said, personally for me, if I didn't already have Lanford and Rachel on my free-to-play account, while it was free-to-play at the time, I wouldn't have even looked at Landius twice. Alright, and that's kind of how I got into the little pickle that I was in. You know what I mean? Like, I legitimately had Lanford and I legitimately pulled Rachel free to play. As I said in one of my other videos, I was this close. If I could have gotten Landius to drop, I actually pulled a few banners off of this rainbow free to play. I think it was 3 rainbows altogether with all the resources that I had saved for free to play. But all 3 of them were Rachel. If I could have got one of those to be Landius, this would still be a free to play account and it would just be a world ahead of a lot of accounts that didn't have as good luck. But hey, I had to break the bank a little bit to make it happen. At the end of the day, I'm happy with this account. I'm happy for Guild Wars. I'm happy for a lot of things. So, been really busy trying to get, you know, everything organized there. But I wanted to come out with this video in case there's some people on the fence and are thinking about doing a last-ditch effort to pull some of these heroes for this faction group. Okay? And I guess my word on it is, if you have Landius, you're set and you can work on getting some of these other characters later. If you just pulled Rachel and you don't have Landius, man, that's a tough break, especially if you might have like one of these other characters. It really is. Use your discretion, like be careful. That's really all I can tell you. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, guys. And honest to God, on my alt account, if I had another path to go, because like I said, I had like a mixed bag of characters. I had one character from this faction group. I had one character from this faction group, and then I got Rachel and Landius. Or I'm sorry, I got Rachel and Lanford, and I already knew I loved playing with Lanford. I ran a few games with Rachel and saw what she could do and saw her healing potential, and I was just like, yes, I want to run these together, and I want to have a faction buff that increases my average damage. That sounds so sweet. But unfortunately for me to do that, I had to pull Landius, and that was a painful process. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. If I would have had a different path to take to another reasonable faction group, I probably would have done that. But this is the way that it went, and I just hope that this can kind of help give some guidance to anybody else that's out there that's on the fence about this faction team that we have right now. Because here's the thing, this company's not going to come out and they're not going to announce anything for any limited banner or any limited characters until after this banner's gone. And I know they're not going to do that because anybody that was going to spend any money now would be like, oh, wait a minute, there's limited characters coming. They're probably going to be stronger. I'm going to hold out for those. These companies don't like us doing that, okay? So, but this is why I wanted to get this video out tonight. There's still 2 days left on this banner. Really evaluate your goals. If you're pulling... Honest to God, if you're pulling Landius just because you want him as a standalone character, it's probably not worth it. If you're pulling Rachel just because you want her just as a standalone character, it's probably not worth it, okay? The reason to pull them is to get this Yeless Legends Fusion. If you're not working towards that fusion and you're pulling on these characters, it's kind of being counterproductive. Like, either save your resources or work on the other faction groups that you have, alright? I really feel strongly about this, and I don't want anybody to get stuck pulling for for Landius and have to go through what I went through, okay? That would make some people quit the game. So I ain't trying to have all that, you know, do as I say, not as I do. I'm being Mr. Hypocrite Vlad over here, but you know, there's some goodness behind what I'm trying to tell you guys. So really stop, really look at these characters. They are awesome. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie about it. They are awesome. I'm having a lot of fun running this faction team, even though they're only like level 47. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I don't even have all the abilities for Landius unlocked yet, so I'm like this close from getting his actual command and tank ability, and I can't wait for that. So this faction is fun. It is fun to play. I can't knock it. Obviously I can't knock it. I just went far out of my way to get it. But the other thing I like about this faction team is really you only really need 3 of them. Okay, and it'd be nice if I had like the other princesses or Lestelle, but I can put Luna in as a standalone, and I can run Almeda too. And in my other videos I actually show this fusion team at work, and Almeda's there and Luna's there, and that kind of works for me. It's technically a dual fusion group, but it still works awesome. And again, I'm blessed with an awesome standalone Luna. Okay, so if you don't have that and you're thinking about, if you only have like 3 of these characters, it's kind of hard to fill in the other 2 spots that you have and have a fusion. See what I mean? So really think about that. On the other hand, if you already have both of these princesses and you have Lestelle, if you're just missing Lanford or something, then yeah, by all means, go for it. Rachel's amazing, and Landius is his own monster, I guess. I still have to do a lot of research and work on him. I'm going to be doing a video about where Landius stands as a tank compared to the other tanks that we have. He's obviously supposed to be the best anti-range tank, and I'm not trying to take any of that away from him. My whole question is, how much damage can he really take? If he has the ability like Vargas to come back to life, then that means he can take an infinite amount of damage in one hit. But how does he actually stack up to Vargas when you're taking multiple hits? Stuff like that. We're going to be getting into that. I'm going to be paying close attention to these characters, how they develop, the best thing to do with them. Alright, and I will be doing some guides, so your boy's not getting lazy. There will be more content coming out soon. But for now, everybody figure out what you got to do. Figure out where you stand with these banners. And remember that, you know, we have news that's going to be released pretty soon about a potentially limited banner with Estelle and Joshua on it. Okay, I got that written on a piece of paper. I haven't even seen pictures of Lestelle or Joshua. Don't know what they do, don't know what they did, don't know where they're from, don't even know where they're going. Okay, but we will find out soon. So keep that in mind while you're deliberating on what you're going to do about this Yeless Legends Fusion team, whether you're trying to pull or you're not. So that's about where we're at with this video. Mobile Gamers Unite. I'm gonna get back to it. I'll see you guys out there. I'll see you in PvP. I'll see you in PvE. I'm out here, and I'm in Langrisser too. So shout out to my guild. Shout out to everybody. Everybody have a good day. Oh yeah, and thank you, Helan. Thank you for keeping me in the loop while I'm doing all this other stuff. And everybody, have an awesome day. All right, peace.